Leaders Eat Last by Sinek. Picture this. It's the dead of night in Afghanistan. The sky is an inky black void. Thick clouds have swallowed every hint of moonlight, leaving nothing but absolute darkness. Down below, on the jagged rocks of a remote valley, 22 Special Operations Forces are moving carefully through enemy territory. Every sound makes their hearts race. Every shadow could be a threat. They know hostile eyes are watching their every move. It's 2002, barely a year after September 11th. These soldiers are deep behind enemy lines on a mission so sensitive it's still classified today. High above them, circling in an A-10 Warthog, is Captain Mike Droley. His call sign? Johnny Bravo. Up at his altitude, everything seems peaceful. The moonlight paints the cloud tops silver, creating an almost serene landscape. But Johnny isn't admiring the view. He's locked in, listening intently to the tense voices crackling over his radio from the men far below. He can't see them through the storm clouds, but he can sense something's off. His instincts are screaming at him. So he makes a decision that goes against every protocol in the book. He's going to perform what's called a weather letdown, basically diving his jet straight down through a violent storm, flying completely blind except for his instruments and gut feeling. Nobody ordered him to do this. In fact, if he'd asked permission, he'd almost certainly have been told no. Then, just as he's about to plunge into that darkness, 3 words crackle across the radio. 3 simple words that make every pilot's blood run cold. Troops in contact. It means the guys on the ground are being attacked. They're in serious trouble. Without hesitation, Johnny points his nose down and drops into the storm. His aircraft gets tossed around like a toy. He breaks through the cloud layer at less than 1,000 feet, and what he sees is absolute chaos. Enemy fire is pouring in from both sides of the valley, a deadly crossfire of bullets and rockets, all aimed at those 22 men pinned down below. He's flying with outdated Soviet maps and no modern GPS. One wrong move and he slams into a mountain. But here's what he'll tell you. There are fates worse than death. One is accidentally killing your own men. Another is going home alive when 22 others don't. So he does what needs to be done. He screams down the valley, guns blazing, counting seconds before he has to pull up to avoid crashing into the rocks. Then he circles back and does it again, and again, and again. That night, because one man chose courage over safety, 22 American soldiers made it home alive. So why did he do it? Why risk everything for people he couldn't even see? When you ask extraordinary people like Johnny Bravo this question, you'll hear the same answer over and over, because they would have done it for me. That feeling, that rock-solid, unshakable trust, sits at the very heart of Simon Sinek's brilliant book, Leaders Eat Last. This isn't just another business book about management techniques. It's a deep dive into the biology of leadership itself. It reveals an ancient code, literally written into our DNA, that explains why some teams become unbreakable, while others crumble at the first sign of pressure. By the time we're done today, you'll understand the powerful, invisible chemicals driving every human behavior. You'll discover why you feel happy, why stress overwhelms you, and why you die for some people but barely trust others. Most importantly, you'll learn the secret great leaders use to build what Sinek calls circles of safety, transforming paranoid, self-serving groups into loyal, trusting teams that achieve the impossible. This isn't just about becoming a better leader. It's about understanding what makes us human in the first place. Let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself. Why do some of us jump out of bed Monday morning excited about work, while others hit snooze 5 times, dreading the day ahead? Why do some teams feel like family, while others feel like a group of strangers just trying to survive until Friday? We usually blame the work itself, or the pay, or the office coffee. But Sinek argues it's something much deeper. It's about safety. Not physical safety, but the feeling of being protected and valued. Think about our ancestors 50,000 years ago. Their world was legitimately terrifying. Saber-toothed tigers, brutal weather, constant food scarcity. Survival alone was impossible. So humans banded together into tribes and created what Sinek calls a circle of safety. Inside that circle, people looked after each other. They shared food. They protected the vulnerable. When everyone felt safe from internal threats, they could relax, cooperate, and get creative. But when people had to worry about dangers from within the tribe, backstabbers, thieves, selfish jerks, everything fell apart. They'd waste all their energy watching their backs instead of watching for predators, making the whole tribe vulnerable. Fast forward to today. The saber-toothed tigers are gone, but the external dangers haven't disappeared. They've just changed shape. Now they're economic downturns, disruptive technology, aggressive competitors. These outside threats are constant and unavoidable. But what about the dangers inside our organizations? The office politics, the fear of speaking up, the nagging feeling that your boss cares more about quarterly numbers than about you, the anxiety that one bad quarter could mean you're out on the street. These internal dangers, Sinek explains, shatter the circle of safety. When that circle breaks, trust evaporates. We become cynical. We hoard information, cover up mistakes, and spend our days protecting ourselves instead of helping the team. The whole organization weakens. A leader's primary job, Sinek argues, isn't to be in charge. It's to protect the circle of safety. To create an environment where people feel safe from internal threats, so they can unite against external ones. This isn't just feel-good philosophy. It's pure biology. Our bodies run on a brilliant system of chemicals that reward behaviors helping the tribe survive. Sinek breaks them into 4 main happy chemicals. Understanding them is like getting the owner's manual for being human. The first 2 are what he calls the selfish chemicals. They're about individual survival and achievement. First up, endorphins. Their job is masking physical pain. Ever heard of a runner's high? You're exhausted, your legs are screaming, but somehow you feel amazing. That's endorphins at work. For our ancestors, hunting for days on end, this was critical. Endorphins let them push through pain and exhaustion to bring food home. They give us endurance. Then there's dopamine. This is your achievement chemical. It's that satisfying hit you get crossing something off your to-do list, reaching a goal, or finally finding your keys. Dopamine makes us goal-oriented creatures. When we spot a target, whether it's fruit on a distant tree or a sales quota, we get a little dopamine surge that pushes us forward. Bigger goals mean bigger dopamine rewards. These 2 chemicals are fantastic. They drive productivity. But here's the catch. Dopamine is highly addictive. Alcohol, gambling, nicotine, they all trigger dopamine. And in our modern world, we've created new addictions. Email notifications, text message pings, social media likes. Each one delivers a little dopamine hit. In business, we've built entire cultures around this. Performance bonuses, sales targets, quarterly reports, all designed to chase that next achievement high. When we become addicted to performance, we prioritize numbers over everything else. We obsess over short-term wins, even at the cost of relationships and long-term health. The success feels great in the moment, but it fades fast, and it never creates real loyalty or trust. That's where the other two chemicals come in, the selfless chemicals. These bind us together. First is serotonin. This is the leadership chemical. It's that feeling of pride, status, and public recognition. When you walk across the graduation stage and everyone applauds, that surge of confidence is serotonin. It feels good to be respected. But here's the beautiful twist. At that exact moment you're feeling proud, your parents in the audience feel it too. Serotonin reinforces the bond between the achiever and their supporter. It strengthens relationships between leaders and followers, parents and children, coaches and players. This is why we feel a powerful need to make our mentors proud. We can't feel accountable to a spreadsheet, only to people. Finally, there's the most remarkable chemical of all, oxytocin. This is love, trust, and deep friendship in molecular form. It's that warm feeling from hugging someone you care about or performing an act of genuine generosity. It's released through physical touch and shared kindness. Oxytocin is the glue holding the circle of safety together. Unlike dopamine's instant hit, oxytocin builds slowly and lasts. Trust takes time. It's that feeling that someone has your back no matter what. My favorite definition of love: giving someone the power to destroy you, then trusting them not to. That's oxytocin. When leaders foster trust and generosity, when people feel safe being vulnerable, oxytocin flows. It boosts immune systems, enhances problem-solving, and creates deep belonging. It's why people turn down higher-paying jobs to stay with teams they love. So you've got these four chemicals: two pushing individual achievement, two binding us together in service of others. A healthy, high-performing team, a strong circle of safety, keeps all four in balance. But too many modern organizations are completely off balance. We've become dopamine addicts, starving for the lasting fulfillment of serotonin and oxytocin. What happens when the balance breaks? Enter the fifth chemical, cortisol. Cortisol is our built-in alarm system. It's stress and anxiety in chemical form. That dread you feel hearing a strange noise at night, or getting a terse email from your boss marked urgent. Cortisol puts you on high alert for threats. It's designed as a short burst. Flood your system, deal with danger, then fade away. But in a broken circle of safety, the threat never ends. Office politics, fear of layoffs, pressure to hit impossible targets. It's like a constant cortisol drip into your veins, and this is devastating. Cortisol actually blocks oxytocin release. In other words, when we're stressed and scared, our capacity for empathy and trust shuts down. We become selfish, paranoid, and uncooperative. Our bodies literally go into survival mode. And it's killing us. Sinek points to the famous Whitehall studies showing that job stress isn't determined by workload, but by how much control people feel they have. Lower in the hierarchy means less control, which means higher stress and increased risk of heart disease. Hating your job where you feel unsupported can be as dangerous as unemployment. Our workplaces are literally making us sick. This is reality for millions. So how do we fix it? How do we build that circle of safety? This is where the book's title comes in, Leaders Eat Last. It comes from a Marine Corps tradition. At mealtime, the most junior Marines eat first. The most senior officers eat last. It's not written in any manual. It's cultural DNA, and it's profoundly symbolic. The perks of leadership, better pay, bigger office, aren't rewards for being in charge. They're compensation for your willingness to put your people's needs before your own. True leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. The price of leadership is self-interest. It's willingness to run toward danger, to sacrifice what's yours to protect what's ours. When people feel their leaders will make that sacrifice, they'll offer blood, sweat, and tears in return. They'll work tirelessly to realize the vision and proudly call themselves followers. This isn't just military philosophy. The book overflows with stories of leaders living this out. Take Bob Chapman, CEO of manufacturing company Barry Wehmiller. When he took over a struggling South Carolina factory, he found a place that felt like a prison. Factory workers punched time clocks, waited for bells to signal breaks, even needed permission to use a payphone. Office workers, meanwhile, were treated like trusted adults. Two different companies, under one roof. Chapman saw this was crushing people's spirits, so he did something radical. He ripped out the time clocks, eliminated the bells, removed the locked cages around spare parts, and told workers to take what they needed on trust. He treated them like human beings. The transformation was remarkable. People started caring for each other. When one employee's wife got sick and he couldn't afford time off, colleagues donated their own vacation days, previously against policy. Trust became standard. The company thrived. Revenue soared, not from strategy, but because people felt valued. As Chapman says, every employee is someone's son or daughter. A leader's responsibility is caring for them as if they were your own. Then there's Costco. In an industry notorious for poverty wages and high turnover, Costco pays nearly double the federal minimum wage. It provides health insurance to almost everyone and promotes managers from within, often starting them as cashiers. Wall Street analysts have criticized them as too generous to employees. The results? Costco has among the lowest turnover in retail. Employees are fiercely loyal. And, if you'd invested in both Costco and General Electric under famous rank-and-yank CEO Jack Welch back in the mid-'80s, your Costco investment would have grown twice as fast. Why? Because, as Sinek says, customers will never love a company until employees love it first. The opposite is equally true. The book details Stanley O'Neill's tragic rise to CEO of Merrill Lynch. He despised the company's family culture, seeing it as, quote, soft. He fostered brutal internal competition, pitting people against each other. He isolated himself, taking a private elevator and instructing employees not to speak to him. He created a culture of pure dopamine and cortisol, paranoia, self-interest, and fear. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, the company collapsed. No trust, no loyalty, no one willing to sacrifice for the team. The circle of safety had shattered, and everyone ran for themselves. So if the biology is clear and the examples are powerful, why don't more companies operate this way? Why have we built a world working against our natural wiring? Sinek argues it's a modern problem: abstraction. Think about the famous Milgram experiment from the 1960s. Volunteers were told to administer electric shocks to someone in another room every time they answered incorrectly. The shocks increased progressively to levels marked danger, severe shock. What volunteers didn't know: the person was an actor, and the shocks were fake. When volunteers could hear the person screaming, many refused to continue. But when completely separated, unable to see or hear the person, a horrifying 65% went all the way to maximum voltage. Physical distance, abstraction, allowed good people to do terrible things. In our modern world, we don't need separate rooms for abstraction. We have spreadsheets, data, email. We lead people we've never met. We make decisions affecting thousands who are nothing but numbers on charts. The larger an organization grows, the more abstract it becomes. We stop seeing people and start seeing metrics. Sinek calls this destructive abundance. We have abundant resources and data, but scarce human connection. Like Milgram's volunteers, we become capable of harmful decisions because we can't see consequences. Laying off 10,000 people becomes a necessary cost-cutting measure, not 10,000 families losing their livelihood. This is modern leadership's challenge. How do you fight abstraction? How do you preserve the human element in a world of numbers? Sinek offers simple, powerful principles. First, keep it real. Bring people together. Nothing replaces face-to-face interaction for building trust. Handshakes, shared meals, casual conversations, these release oxytocin and strengthen the circle of safety. Second, keep it manageable. He mentions Dunbar's number. Humans can only maintain about 150 stable relationships. Beyond that, trust breaks down. This explains why small companies are often innovative and tight-knit. Large companies must empower leaders at every level to create smaller, nested circles of safety. Third, meet the people you help. Sinek shares how university fundraisers' performance skyrocketed over 400% after spending just 5 minutes hearing a student explain how their scholarship changed everything. When we see the tangible human impact of our work, it fills us with purpose no bonus ever could. Finally, be patient. Real trust and relationships don't happen overnight. They can't be rushed. They're the slow, steady result of showing up day after day, proving you care. At its core, this book calls us back to what makes us human. We're not wired for selfishness. We're wired for cooperation, service, and connection. Humans have thrived 50,000 years, not because we're driven to serve ourselves, but because we're inspired to serve others. Leadership isn't a rank you achieve. It's a choice you make. The choice to watch out for the person to your left and right. When we make that choice, when we commit to building a circle of safety, we don't just build stronger companies. We build a better world. The ultimate lesson is simple yet profound. Everything about leadership is like parenting. It's committing to the well-being of those in your care and willingly sacrificing your interests to see them grow and succeed. It's not a license to do less. It's a responsibility to do more. It takes work, time, and courage. But the reward is the greatest feeling any human can know. The pride and love from watching those you lead achieve more than you ever imagined possible. Stepping back from the big picture Sinek paints in Leaders Eat Last, it's hard not to feel both frustrated and hopeful. The frustration comes from recognizing how many modern workplaces resemble his before stories, environments saturated with stress, anxiety, and people just trying to survive another day. We've all been there. We've all had bosses who made us feel invisible, or worked on teams where everyone was out for themselves. This book names that feeling of unease and gives it a biological explanation. It validates our experience and confirms we're not crazy for feeling that way. But the hope is overwhelming. The most powerful lesson for me is that great leadership isn't some mystical gift you're born with. It's not about charisma or genius. It's a series of conscious, learnable choices based on one fundamental principle: empathy. It's about seeing the human beings in your care and choosing to protect them. This idea democratizes leadership. It means anyone, at any level, can choose to be a leader. You don't need a title to look out for the person beside you. You don't need authority to help someone else succeed. You can choose to be the leader you wish you had, right now, today. This book matters so much because we're living in an age of unprecedented abstraction. We connect through screens, measure success in data, and easily forget the human beings behind our decisions. Sinek's work is a powerful antidote. It's a call to put down the spreadsheets and shake someone's hand, to turn off email and actually listen, to remember that business is, at its heart, a human enterprise. So how can you apply these ideas right now? It doesn't require massive reorganization. It starts with small, consistent actions. First, practice eyeball leadership, a Marine term meaning get out from behind your desk and spend time with your people. Commit this week to one conversation with a colleague with no agenda, except asking how they're doing and genuinely listening. Make them feel seen. Second, find a 5-minute moment, like those university fundraisers. Connect your work to the real people it impacts. If you're a student, thank a teacher and tell them specifically how they helped you. If you're in customer service, share a positive customer story with your team. Make the human impact of your work tangible. Third, practice eating last. This is metaphorical, of course. Look for opportunities to put someone else's needs before yours. Let a colleague take credit for shared success. Stay a few minutes late to help someone finish a task. Offer your time, your most valuable, non-renewable resource, to someone who needs it. These small acts are trust's building blocks. They're the foundation of the circle of safety. That was a summary of Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. We've explored the core ideas today, but I'll be honest, a summary is like a travel brochure. It shows you beautiful sights, but can never replace actually being there. The real magic happens when you read it yourself. It's in those quiet moments, when a particular story or phrase connects with your experience in unexpected ways. This summary helps you decide if the journey's worth your time. If anything we've discussed resonated with you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your role in others' lives. Also, if you found this valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and keep leading together.